Hi, and welcome to We Two Sisters. Today I'm showing you how we are blending some of our oil mixture. Today we are making a infusion for one of our new hair butters. This will be actually in-house because this is a very new recipe, and like anything that we do, until it's actually tested and tried and true for quite some time, you would not come out to the public. So this would definitely be an in-house thing. It's been a recipe that has been on the mind for a minute, so we're just trying it out. In this particular crock pot, we have been steeping some oils. Our oil base basically consists of a little bit of coconut, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, as well as some organic Jamaican black castor oil. And in there is some special herb blends that we have come up with that we have been steeping in it. And what we were going to do, we'll take this off of this crock pot, or take it out of the crock pot rather, and we'll let it kind of cool down. It'll take probably about a good hour or so, and we'll let it cool down and take and then separate the sediments from the actual oil. And the reason we're actually steeping this oil is so that we can get all the wonderful properties from the other ingredients that we've put in here to go along with this oil mixture. Over here, we have our wonderful other mixture that we are making up in oils with some of our organic flowers and everything. And in this too, you will see that that has been well steeped as well. And we did it on this pot with coconut oil as well. And the reason for the coconut oil is that a lot of times when you're steeping certain things like flowers and herbs, the coconut oil is a good base to where it holds on to that plant's or that herb's actual properties. But if you don't want to use coconut oil, which we don't always use it, I'm trying it out because this is something that came to us. You can use something like sunflower. I've known some people to use almond oil, which we won't use that at all due to nut allergies and nut sensitivities. And you can use something like definitely, the extra virgin olive oil, whichever one. You can figure out which oil is going to work best for you and what you would do. But in this case, we're trying it for once with the actual coconut oil. And what we're going to do next is we're going to actually strain and drain this here, so that way we can get the oil out of the flour mixture and actually transfer it over into a whole nother jar. Because what we're going to do then is we're going to blend it with some all natural organic shea butter. We're also going to probably add a little bit of mango butter because we're trying to lock in some of that moisture, as well as some of those extra vitamin riches like the vitamin E's and the A's and things that you need also for the hair. Over here, we've already prepped our jars. We sterilized them with alcohol, so they are ready to receive our mixture. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get ready to take this off of our little pot here. And it's been actually sitting here now for about 5 hours. So it's probably about as good a steep as it's going to be. And then we're also going to take this out and let it cool down as well, so then we can separate it from its amendments. Okay, we have gotten us a good and sterilized jar here. And this is what we're going to transfer this oil over into. With this being a new recipe, we're just going to, we did it in a small amount, so we can see if it's something that we would actually like to continue with. If it is something that we decide that we're going to continue to use and do, then we would definitely make this out on a larger scale. But for now, we're just going to take and go ahead and drain this into our little jar here. And what we'll do is we're just going to pour this mixture right over this for now, so that we can kind of get in on some of this ooey gooey goodness. And we're going to take and also press down on what we have mixed up here, because we want to get all the oil from these flowers that we have steeped together to make this mixture. So we just get out our trusty little strainer here. Now for the oven, we'll get out probably a cheesecloth, but if not, we will use probably then just a pantyhose, because you want to use it because you want to catch the sediments of the oven. But the one good thing about it is, if you go ahead and let it cool down, you can almost basically transfer it without worrying too much about the cheesecloths. But in case you didn't let it cool completely down and you want to do it instantaneously, then you would want to go ahead and definitely get your cheesecloths or maybe a pantyhose, which I said we'll probably just use like a little knee-high for ours, because we didn't make an overly big amount for it, just because it said it's something new that we're trying. So here we go. We're going to pour some more of this mixture in here and let it finish draining down in there. And we're going to repeat the same process of just kind of moving some of this around, trying to get it out of here. Just so we want all of the oils, and we want all of the goodness that this oil is going to have when we put it into the butters. So this is sometimes how you can basically do a quick infusion. Another way you can do a really infusion is that you can take your herbs and get whatever oil of choice you want to use. As I said, you can use, olive oil, you can use almond oil, you can use, avocado oil, whichever oil you choose. And what you would do is you would go ahead, pour you about 2 cups of that oil. It's going to be about a 2-to-1 ratio, give or take. But you will want to take and put like 2 cups of that oil into a jar. And then you could take, especially, and this works really good in the summertime, and then you would take whatever herbs you want to use, or flowers, or whatever it is that you're using at the time, and you would take and put them in there. Find you a place, maybe sometimes a warm, sunny windowsill for about no more than about a week. And what you're going to do then is you're going to let the sunlight be your heat for a while, for at least a week, usually not more than that. And then you're going to take from that point and you're going to take it from the windowsill, and you're going to keep checking on it, and then you're going to want to put it in a dark place. And you will let it sit there for like anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks inside maybe a closet or somewhere, and you'll just keep shaking and shaking. And what it does is it's going to still do the same effect as pulling out all the oil and mixing in with these wonderful herbs and stuff. It'll do the same exact thing. It's just that it's a longer process. But believe it or not, that's how a lot of times certain oils are still made, and certain tinctures are still even made. from that process and way of doing things. So there's nothing wrong with doing it that way. It's just like certain things we have sitting like that, and other things because I'm kind of anxious to get this done and tried. So we're kind of like speeding up the process a little bit. So here we have the tincture that has now been made from this, the oil that will be used inside of the butter. This oil here will hold up for at least 1 whole year because it does not have any waters, anything to it. So we will add this also to the new hair butter that's going to be made. And so what we'll do is we'll go ahead, we will put a cap on this, and we will start to work on the process too of working on getting our butters together and getting some of our essential oils and all the good stuff that's going to go into our hair butter, while also too while our other oil is somewhat cooling. Now, part of you wanted to speed up your cooling process of this oil here, you could always kind of set it in the refrigerator and let it cool down a little bit quicker. But it shouldn't take it that long, especially once it came off the heat factor. So we're going to just kind of let it do what it needs to do, which is cool on its own naturally and let the sediments come to the bottom of it while we get ready to cap off the other oil that has been made. So let's go ahead and cap off this oil here. And it's going to be very important too that we also put what this is, what day it was made, so that you know what's up. Because even then, if you didn't want to necessarily drain out some of your other flowers or medicinal herbs, whatever you're making with your tincture there or with your oil base, let's clean this up a little bit. You could then take and leave the flowers and stuff still in it even after that process, and it would just continue to steep even more, and you would get even more of the benefits. But as I said, it's been steeping like that for probably over 5 hours, because so we use the heating process in order to do so. Now, as we set up to prepare for our oils to be, well, more so our butters, let me rephrase it. For our butters, we're going to go ahead and get our double boiler system set up. And what you want to do with a double boiler system, of course, here is just our portable electric little like iron here. And you're going to take and put water in the bottom of this, and then you would take and just put a bowl, or you could put like your Corningware, whatever you want to use. The main goal is that you don't want to get water into that bowl mixture up top or anything, because that's where you're going to put your butter. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our shea butter, we're going to put our probably mango, and I'm thinking a little chamomile. And why I'm using chamomile, which you might think is kind of odd, but chamomile is very relaxing. And think about it, if you're trying to definitely like get your hair to grow, or you just want to have something that's fairly decent for your hair or even your body, chamomile is a good way of relaxation. And a lot of times you'll find that if you're suffering like hair loss or, stress, chamomile is one of the things that, of course, is always recommended, along with a little bit of lavender and different things. So we're going to probably use maybe a little bit of chamomile butter in our mixture as well. We definitely, and I might even put a little bit of cocoa butter. As I said, this is going to be an experiment. It's wrote down, but we haven't really came up with the exact measurements. So everything that you will see going in here is not going to be like a total exact measurement. The thing is, though, I might throw a little cocoa butter in. The reason being is I want for it to get a little bit more solid. So in order for it to be solid, sometimes you need a harder butter. So with that being said, cocoa butter is a harder butter than what shea butter is. So let's go and get our double boiler system set up right now. And you see I'm pouring the water into the pan. And you're going to always do this on a fairly low temperature, so because you don't want your butters and stuff to burn. And we're going to check and see if that's just about enough water for that to come up there to give it like a little bit of a steam. And we're still going to put definitely more water into this pan, because the water needs, and that steam of the boiling water will need to be like right up under here, so that way it gets the bowl and stuff hot enough. And normally what would happen is I would actually use a bigger thing, kind of like this, you know, what we measure off in, and I would actually sit it down into the water, because it would make more sense when you're dealing with a pan like this, to where you would sit it in the water like that, and then what would happen is all your stuff would heat up. In fact, I might actually do that for the sake of this video and everything. So let's do that. We won't use the big bowl. We'll use that when we're going to do something else. Okay, as you can see, we now have the Pyrex dish that is in here, which is a glass dish. And that's something that you want to use. You want to make sure that whatever you're using over these flames, well, if you're using like a flame, but what you're using is very heat sensitive. So we're going to definitely stick with doing this Pyrex. It's more than enough water at this point that's in this Pyrex over this flame here, or over this burner, more say. Because I say, you want to make sure that whatever you are using, that it can be put in a pot like this. Usually glass works the best when doing this and everything. But the difference is, I will tell you that you have to be careful, because like when you're working with shea butter and stuff, if you get it too hot, it's going to make it a little extra grainy. Plus too, you don't want to make your mixture so hot that you're losing the benefits and the properties of having these wonderful butters and everything put in there. So we're going to go ahead and probably add, for the sake of this, I think we're going to go ahead and add a little cocoa butter to it. And so because I need for it to be harder. Plus two, let's go ahead and cut on our little portable flamey thingy here. Eventually I'll get the right terminology for it. I know I get the right terminology. You know, a single burner hot plate. Boy, I tell you, some things just call it the single burner thing. So we're just going to go on and cut that on, so the way that water can start getting hot. And actually for now, if you don't have to necessarily leave this in here like that, you could go ahead and actually take it out and start putting, you know, let the water start coming to a boil. But if you don't want to, which I'm not going to do that today since I'm doing it, but normally what would happen is I would go ahead and have, and you see that came from the pot. I would normally go ahead and have my butters and oils already in here. Don't worry, you all, it'll die down. It's from where the bottom of this was wet. The bottom of that pot was wet, because remember, it was the pot that we had our other oil mixture in, but it has actually been cleaned. We're going to go on and cut this up a little bit. That's the max level. We're going to put this up on 3. And the reason being is we're just going to, because we need the water to come to a boil. But you also, too, is that you need to make sure that whatever you're using, that your water is not up too high, because you don't want water to get inside of your mixture at all. But we are going to go ahead and throw in a little bit of cocoa butter in this. And no, it's not going to be direct measurements. And it's kind of like, how when your parents are cooking and your grandparents have been cooking it, you call them for a recipe and they're like, oh, baby, I don't know how much. I just put a pinch of this and a dash of that. That's kind of like what we're doing here. But the thing being is, when you've been actually making stuff as long as we have and stuff, you can kind of tell if it's more, say, a tablespoon, or if it's a teaspoon, or, if it's 1/3 cup, 1/4 cup. But what we're going to do is go ahead and add the cocoa butter. And yes, these are wonderful cocoa chips. And right there, I don't feel like that would be enough for this. So we're going to add a little bit more, because I need for it to have some form of stability. When that melts down by itself, it will probably melt down to be, in all honesty, about a good 1 tablespoon of cocoa butter. So it's not going to be a whole lot. It'll have a lot more shea in it than what it will have the cocoa butter, but we need for that to have some form of hardness. So let's go ahead and kind of take a look over the top of that. So you see that it's in there. It's already starting to melt, believe it or not, because the bubbles are already starting to bubble on the bottom of the hot plate for this. So as I said, it's not going to take it long. So in turn, we're going to go ahead and turn this hot plate down just a touch, because we don't want it to overheat too much. But cocoa butter usually takes a little bit longer. Oops, excuse me, you all. Something fell in the background there. Cocoa butter usually takes a little bit longer to melt than it would for shea butter to actually melt. So the next thing that we will add into our mixture will be our shea butter. We will add that in next into there. So because the cocoa butter, as you can see, is already starting to melt down. So we will add our shea butter next. Right now we're just starting to drop a little bit of the shea in. We have to actually peel this off. So I'm actually having to scrape it out in order to put it in there. And if I had to probably say that the direct measurement for this shea butter in this particular case, probably melt it down. It will melt down to about probably a good 1/2 cup, give or take. As you see, the water is starting to really percolate there. So let's cut this down a little bit more, because we don't want it to bubble up too much. We just need for it to start to get hot enough to where it's doing all the melting. As you can see, the cocoa butter is already melting down, and so is the shea. But we are going to add just a little bit more shea to that as well, to our mixture. And let's add a little bit more shea butter to it. So you can see that this is definitely pure natural organic shea butter. And we're going to, because I said I'm over here actually kind of shaving it off with a spoon, but it's still good and soft, in which you see what I mean by how soft shea is. So we're just gonna, I figure I'll do it like this so you could get a general feel to it when I'm telling you. See, it's real soft and creamy. So you can imagine by the time you do that and you add in a few extra oils and all of this is breaking down, once it's completely broke down, you're going to have this extra soft. So that's one reason, as I said, we had to add the cocoa butter to it. Let's go ahead and finish scraping some of this off with our wonderful spatula here, and I just kind of put it around the side of here. And we're just going to go ahead and just kind of scrape it off in there. And so this is in-house, so everything has actually been sanitized, and no, not technically wearing gloves, but I'm not making it to sale. I'm keeping it here. And let's just go ahead and kind of take a look at how much oil we already have. And there it is, already melting. We're almost up, believe it or not, to 8 ounces. And that's just with having the cocoa and shea. We haven't even added the mango butter yet. So that's going to be the next set of butter that we're going to add to this mixture. Oh, I wish you all could smell this mango butter. This all natural, organic, I mean, just raw, 100% mango butter. It smells so good. And the reason, people are like, oh, you put mango butter in there too. Well, you have to understand, like, mango butter is a real good thing for, like, treating definitely dry skin. So think about it. Your scalp is skin, so you want to do that. It's good with, like, rashes. It's, it helps with, peeling and all this. It clears up, like, blemishes and wrinkles. And also it relieves itching. So let's say that you have a very itchy scalp, a very dry scalp. Then the mango butter is going to come in there to help with that too, which a lot of times, if you got that going on, you're probably digging in your scalp as well. It also helps to treat like eczema and dermatitis. So not only that, it's going to help out with approximately do some things that you wouldn't think about it doing. And it's going to promote like healthy and rejuvenated skin. So there's so much benefit to the mango butter that's kind of like, why wouldn't you use it in your hair product or even in some of your skin products, in which we do actually use it in some of our body butters and different things like that. So the way we can help treat dry skin and help treat some of the other skin issues. Now, some things, of course, because we're not doctors, some things you do have to go and consult a medical professional about. But there are some natural things that you can do to help yourself out along the way. As long as it's not severe cases and as long as you don't have allergic reactions to them, then you can, kind of rely on things like this to kind of get you through certain things. As I said, I definitely use a lot of shea and cocoa and mango, all because they are all moisturizing, and they also do bring certain natural properties and certain vitamins to them, which is, as I said, one reason why we're using a double boiler method, because we don't want to lose any of this goodness that comes with it. So we're going to go ahead and add just a little bit more mango. The bulk of this is made actually from the shea, but we're going to go ahead and scoop some more of this mango on in here. Just because who doesn't want to have smooth skin, even on their scalp, and definitely moisturizing skin, considering the season that it's in. So you might as well moisturize your skin, moisturize your scalp. And if you're not digging in your scalp, it will allow for your hair to grow. So let's go ahead and just get some of this right on in there too. Some of that good old goodness. Okay, so what else to put in there is, let's recap. We have 100% natural cocoa butter in here. We have organic shea butter, and we have 100% natural mango butter that we have now added to our mixture. And we're just going to give it a little stir. So we're kind of melting it down, as you can see. And we're just letting the heat from the double boiler take and do its magic of melting it. So we will just continue to stir. I kind of went ahead and decided to skip the chamomile butter for this one. I might make it under a different recipe that I'm kind of formulating currently. So I don't know. I think I'll skip it because I'm too in love with the smell of the mango butter, because when you get 100% natural mango butter, oh my God, it is some of the sweetest, most aromatic fragrance that you will truly smell. And I'm really loving the smell of it. Now, grant you, once we add the other oils to this, it will change up the scent. And also too, once we add the essential oils in here, which we're definitely going to put peppermint oil in there, because peppermint oil is a wonderful oil to have in your hair regimen. Actually, it's just a wonderful oil to have in general for anything, because it's a good relaxant. It is also a good stimulant to help stimulate the hair follicles. So it would definitely be in there. I haven't decided if I'm going to put the lavender in or not. Usually lavender and peppermint goes really well together, but I'm definitely leaning towards maybe a little bergamot and everything too, because each oil that I'm choosing has a certain property. Same thing with the butters. They all have a certain property. And as you can tell, everything has now melted. That took no time to get that done. So let's go ahead and see how much oil we have in here. Let's take the spoon out of here. We are at 8 ounces of oil, and that's with not even adding in the other oils yet. Let's check in on the other oil that is currently cooling. And remember, I was telling you about as it cools, you will start to see the sediments on the bottom. And as you can see, there's the sediments at the very bottom, and they will be like right down around here. So this oil is steadily cooling. And what I may go ahead and do, because you don't want to stir it up, you want those sediments to definitely come to the bottom, because you want all the oil up top. But you don't necessarily have to get rid of the sediments from this, because if you want to, you can always run it through your hair like it's a good conditioner part. But what we may go ahead and do is go ahead and skim some of this wonderful oil blend off the top. We're going to also go ahead and cut off our double boiler over here, because we don't want our oils to get just overly hot. A lot of times we will go ahead and remove this, which we probably will do that now. So let me get a paper towel or something so we can set that on real quick. So we're going to remove this from the heat, and let's go ahead and just kind of scoot this back there some. And we're going to put this oil mixture down here from our butters. Well, it's actually our butter mixture that's now a good oil. We'll just scoot this to the back a little bit, let it start to cool down as well. Now, we've got our butters right here, which are nice and melted. It's got a little bit over 8 ounces. And what we're going to do next is we're going to take a little bit of our previous oil mixture right here. And remember, so we're going to just eyeball this, because this is kind of like just, so it's an in-house recipe. I can't go too wrong with it, especially with all the natural goodness that's going on. So we're just going to take and pour a little bit of that in there. Probably about a good tablespoon of that in there. So that's the one thing about when we're actually making stuff for the first time. We eyeball a lot of it, then we go back and tweak the recipe to the actual weights and everything to see what's what. And we'll make about 2-3 different versions of it to find out which one actually is the one that we like the best for this. So we went ahead and added about a tablespoon of that to our oil mixture, which is fine. We wanted to incorporate anyway. And since we're waiting for the other one, and we're going to take and just, excuse me, you all. We're going to go ahead and take this one here, and we're just going to pour a little bit on this spoon, because we're waiting for a lot of the settlement part to go down, which, as you can see, if you can see the bottom of that, there's the settlements. So we're just going to go ahead and pour, and I want about 2 good tablespoons of that in there because of what I've actually incorporated in as well. Actually, let's go ahead and make it 3. All right. And as it continues to cool down, then the rest of that will drop down. And what we would do is we are going to jar that too. So we're going to stir this up real good because we want it to mix real good. We're not going to add our essential oils or anything just yet, because we want this to kind of get back to a little bit more of a solid formation, which if you want to cheat, you can always put it like in a freezer or something and kind of like make it cool down a little bit quicker. Or you can do like what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go ahead and let it kind of sit here for a minute, and then I will get out my hand mixture and I will actually take and start to mix it that way. Okay, so as you can see, I got out my trusty hand mixer here, and this is currently what we're looking like. It's a little bit on the solid side of everything. I did go ahead and put it like in this little refrigerator to kind of help get it to this state. But if you start to mix it, what happens is that the mixture will start to actually cool your oils and butters too, to make it a little bit solid. A lot of people, when you're getting like that extra fluffy body butters or whatever, that's what they do. They're just putting them in and out of the refrigerators or out of freezers to make them do it. So we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of blending so you can kind of see what's going to go on. So just work with me with a little bit of the sound here. And as you can tell, as we're blending this, I'm going to see if I can turn it a little bit so you can see it. So this is what that mixture is looking like. It's looking very, very good. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to beat this for about another 5 minutes or so. And I'm going to also turn around and probably add in my essential oils. As you can see, this is looking very nice and quite creamy, actually. If we was making soap, that would be considered a trace. So we're going to go ahead and kind of like get that all done. And so then add in some of the essential oils for this. And then it'll be ready to be poured into our jar. So we're going to go ahead and give it another quick little mix. Let's see if we can catch it. Exactly what we're going to do. Just mix it. Now, what is quite essential here is that you do not want to over mix this at all, okay? You want to get it and you want to have it in a good texture form, to where, for me, I like mine for when it can still definitely be poured in. So I'll just keep kind of playing with it and seeing what I can get from it before doing anything else. But what I am going to do here, as I said, I will go ahead and get ready to add in some of my essential oils that I'm going to use for this hair butter. And so currently, I'm definitely going to probably use rosemary. I love rosemary a lot in my hair stuff. I've always used rosemary and basically whatever hair that I use. And when you're using essential oils, real quick, just to deviate from that, you have to be careful how much you put in there, because they can irritate your skin. But back to the rosemary, we're going to probably put about a good 10 to 12, maybe 20 drops. I said a lot of this we are kind of eyeballing it along the way. The thing I love about rosemary that it's like very grounding, but when it comes to like your hair and stuff, it helps a lot. Believe it or not, like with gray hair and things like that, is known as a cleansing oil. So I really truly have always loved using rosemary in a lot of my stuff. But I said I just love the smell of it. I grow it in my garden and everything too, because I just love the way it smells. The other oil that we're also going to use at this point in time, I remember I told you all, we'll be using peppermint. So let's drop some peppermint oil in there. And it'll probably definitely have more of a peppermint smell. So we're going to do about definitely 20 to 25 drops. 19, about, so that way, right now we got a wonderful, like, earthy, grounding peppermint and rosemary blend going on. So that's not too bad. Sometimes what I like to do then is take and start my blending around like this automatically. Oh, that smells so good. And you see how it's just dropping off the beaters. Now, if you want it thicker, you can turn around and, as I put it, like in a freezer. I am going to add a little bit of bergamot to it. And the thing is, I love bergamot. It's like a deeper orange, but it's in the, orange, lime, lemon. It's in the citrus category, but it's not as bright. And bergamot is there to kind of like give it that highlight, just to kind of uplift some of that rosemary and the peppermint. But we'll probably use about 5 to 6 drops of this bergamot because I don't want it to take over. I just want some of the properties that's going to come from having it in there. So that's actually about 8 drops because I want it to be more the undertone, the underlayer of that. And of course, remember I told you all, I thought about lavender, and when I'm going to put the lavender in there, because lavender is very calming, and what you need a lot of times on your scalp and just whatever, you need that lavender. So the lavender peppermint always goes good together. The lavender, peppermint, rosemary is a wonderful combination too. So let's go ahead and drop a little lavender in this. We put about 15 drops of lavender. Because my main scent that I really want to come out is going to be more of the rosemary and the peppermint with these undertakings. And as I said, you have to be kind of careful when you're using the essential oils because you don't, I don't know if you all can tell from the camera already, but this has gotten even thicker just from sitting there. And I'm not even blending this. I'm just stirring it in right now. And you can tell how it's just gotten thicker and it's steadily thickening up. So that's good. I wanted to do that. And one other oil I am going to put in here that a lot of times people wouldn't think about probably putting in there because they're thinking because of everything else that's already in there. They would think, why would you take and add the vitamin E? Well, I'm adding vitamin E because when you want to preserve the rest of these oils and butters and everything, you add a little vitamin E. Well, vitamin E, it's good for the skin anyway. But the thing is, you have to be careful how much you add because too much vitamin E can actually be bad. So we're just going to add just about literally 4 of those little drops. And believe it or not, that is all you need for that. And what it's going to do is, besides be good for our skin, it's also going to help preserve some of these oils that is in here and to keep them from going rancid. So what we're going to do real quick, we're just going to give this a real quick twirl again so that can kind of get mixed up in here. Get around these sides real good. And I don't know if you can see it, but there it is. We're looking really good. This is a nice butter. Go ahead and shake that. And here we have simply made a wonderful, wonderful hair butter. So yes, that is currently, let's see if we can get you back in focus here a little bit. This is a wonderful looking hair butter. There you go. This is a very wonderful, as you can see, just as it kept sitting and as we keep whipping it, remember I told you, the blenders will whip in that air. So here you have it. Isn't that beautiful? And it's just extra thick. It's getting there. And the smell is just, oops, It's wonderful, actually. I probably could use, for me, a little bit either more rosemary, peppermint. But I want you to see like how it's looking on camera. So like that is going to blend into your hair really well. And I'm really excited about trying this one out. I said, it's been a recipe that's been on my mind for a minute, actually. And I've been working through some of the logistics. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to kind of come through here and scrape this off. And this is why, remember I told you that we was adding the cocoa butter in? Because we need it to get this hardness about it. Because it says shea butter by itself is really, really soft. So, and then once you heat it and take it back through some of the transformation. So here we go, you all. I'm going to just keep kind of bringing it down some. Now, depending on what's what, a lot of times if you get it to this state, which is a lot of times, I don't like mine to get completely to this state, because you would need to get you like some piping bags and pipe it in. But I'm just making this for the house, so I will actually stand here and you will see me do this in a few minutes. I will actually take and just I'm going to take and just put it in the jar how it is, and that way the family can have some, I can have some, and we can just all try out one of my newer creations. And if it does what it's supposed to do, oh, it's going to be top notch, you all. Trust me, it will be top notch, because the steeped oils that is in this is basically used to not only grow the hair, but like if you have thinning of the hair, it's used for that. It's used for certain dermatitis. It's a little bit of everything. I said, but definitely for growing the hair, getting the hair a little bit thicker, the whole nine. I mean, you will not be able to go wrong with this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut this mixer back on real quick to get some of the creams and stuff off of here, and then bring you back. Okay, as you can tell, I now have these wonderful beaters that have been spun around. Here is our wonderful, wonderful mixture that I'm stirring in now with my cute little spatula here. That's because I had to turn it around in the bowl. And you can see this is quite nice and just quite thick, which I don't mind. I said most people will take and pipe this in when it gets to this stage. A lot of times I catch mine before I get it to this stage, so I don't have to worry about piping it in. But, you know, you live, you learn. And since this is definitely a demo video, I'm not piping, but I do have my little jars here to where you will get to see me take and start to actually jar this in here. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to take my wonderful spatula. Usually you could use a spoon, which I may do that. Let me get a spoon real quick, and I'm going to actually spoon this in to the jars. So let's just kind of scrape this off. But you can see how thick it is. So yeah. And so I can't wait to use this on my hair. I can't wait to share it with the family and see what they think of this wonderful new butter. So I'm just going to go ahead and put mine in here. Don't worry about half the mess that you may see on the side of this. I will get it cleaned up as I go along the way. But the reason why people do pipe it in, because it will make it much easier when you get to this stage in order to get it actually in your jars. But as I said, for me, I'm not piping it. I'm just going to go ahead and fill up my little jars here. Plus, too, I feel like sometimes when you piping it in, you're not actually getting the true weight. This way, when I'm actually stuffing it in with my wonderful spoon here, I know that if this is supposed to be a 4-ounce jar, then 9 times 10, you're actually probably getting about 5 ounces. In all honesty, because when you pipe it in, you also pipe it in air. And so you're not getting it all to settle in correctly. Whereas with me actually jarring it in here, let's tap it down. You actually get the full amount that's supposed to be in the jar. I would say 9 times 10, you're going to get a little bit more than what's what. And so if I would have caught it just a little bit sooner, I would have actually taken and poured it. And that way it would have just finished sealing in the jar itself. And it would look totally different. But that's okay. Let's make another wonderful jar for the family. And so they're going to be the guinea pigs this time to see what's wetter. So we won't probably start doing testers until sometimes in 2021. But even then, when we finally do decide to do testers, let's say we was deciding to do this particular recipe for testing, trust me, we would have been used it probably for more than 6 to 8 months, and have already made it probably 2 to 3 more times. Have actually tweaked down the portions and actually configured the right amount of ounces and everything that we want to put in there, even down to the essential oil drop count. All of that would be configured before we would even send it out to a test group for them to try, because at that point in time we need to know what you're thinking about basically what would be considered the final product. And a lot of times when we do that, we've had very good success with the test group telling us, no, this is the way we like it. It's been very rare that we've ever had to go back and like truly recreate something that we've already put in test group and stuff. So that's the way we like to do ours. We like to go ahead and kind of play with it for a while and then get it out to the test group and let them see what's what and tell us what's what, and life be good. So here is now my finished body butter. Well, not body butter, I'm sorry you all, hair butter. I hope that you have enjoyed this behind the scenes tutorial of us just back here making, things, and how we sometimes just come up with certain, recipes and things that we decide that we're going to do and everything. So, that way you kind of be like, okay, they really do make every single thing and everything. So we hope that you truly enjoyed this. And we will be putting on this wonderful, wonderful cap. And this one is now ready to go out. What do you think? I think I like it. All right, then. Thank you all for hanging with me. I know this has been quite a long video. And as I say, we'll learn as we go along the way to make these a little bit shorter. Or, cut certain things to be. But, if you cut out things, then people really don't get a chance to really see what's what. So, but we will learn as we go, especially in 2021, how to do certain things to bring you along and still make it a little bit simpler and a little bit easier. Hope everything's going all right with you all. And we look forward to, of course, Friday Night Chit Chat on the New Year's. Join us on Facebook Live, 8 p.m. on Fridays. That's when we do our live chit chat, as well as you can a lot of times ask us different questions. So be safe, you all. Be blessed, and look forward to talking with you soon. All right. Bye-bye.